I can't say that I always acted up to that standard. I didn't know the meaning of my oath at that time. I didn't think the Constitution applied to me. I worked for the President or the Bill of Rights. What I'm telling people like Scott McClellan and others now is, don't do what I did. Don't wait till the new war has started. Don't wait till thousands more have died. Don't wait till the bombs are falling on Iran or elsewhere before you come out with documents and tell the truth. What I now understand, the meaning of that oath is that the people I worked for, well, it's more true now, actually. More true now. The Bush and Cheney, who undertook these programs within a week secretly, kept it secret as long as they could till somebody finally anonymously leaked. The people who did that, Bush and Cheney, are domestic enemies of the Constitution in the sense of that oath. In the spirit of what I was saying earlier, I don't feel right, it doesn't sit right with me to say they're not Americans, they're not patriots. Unfortunately, we in this country that allowed George Bush to be almost elected or get within stealing distance twice, we are responsible up to that degree, to a considerable degree, in the eyes of the world, and they're not wrong. And those torturers over there who think they're doing their duty because they're obeying, or think that they would suffer greatly if they didn't carry out orders, they are Americans and we're responsible for them too. I do not believe that George Bush and Richard Cheney love this country any less than I do. But I know that they don't love the United States Constitution or the Bill of Rights or the rule of law in the way that I do, or that we do, in the way that we have lost it. What it will take to change that situation against the sitting president and a complicit Congress is votes, but more than votes. It will take more than votes. It will take activity. What are you willing to do, and what risks are you willing to run? Risks of position, risks of the status of your friends, risks in Utah, various places, of saying the truth about this, as you are doing here now. This may or may not have a lot of risk, although from past experience, there's a U2 or a satellite that is able to get your photographs right here, and they're probably raised, and that's always been true in the past. So it's never without risk to oppose a president, especially during a war. But as I was standing over there, I'll tell you, I used my cell phone to call the man who changed my life in an hour, when I heard him say, when he was about 24, that he was on his way to prison for refusing to cooperate with the draft. And I'll tell you what I wanted to get at the last minute, something I never asked him. His name was Randy Keeler in Massachusetts. And I said, Randy, he was in prison for 2 years. He put in my head the question, what can I do if I'm willing to go to prison? Without that question, to end the war, to help end the war, without that question in my mind, it wouldn't have occurred to me to do something like that. And I said, Randy, what if you'd known you were going to go to prison for 10 or 20 years? He said, I don't know what I would have done. He went for 2 years. He said, however, I was up for 25, 5 counts they got him on, of non-cooperation. Not giving his address, holding a card and so forth. And he said, I expected in Wyoming that I would get 5. And the other question I asked him was, how many people do you think at that time who'd had the Pentagon Papers, which I never believed had a high chance of ending the war, but I thought they had a significant chance of making some chance, 5%, 10%, of making the war shorter? How many people do you think in this country, if they'd had the same chance, if they'd had the Pentagon Papers, would have been willing to go to jail for life, which is what I expected? 30 years, 40 years. I was charged with 115 years. With good behavior, I'd get out in a third of that, which would be this year, interestingly, 35 years. I said, how many would do that? He said, thousands. Thousands. That's where we were then, and I believe that's where we are now if we recognize that crisis. So thank you for being here. I believe there are many, many thousands of people in this country. We are our America, and there are several Americas here, our America which says America should not torture. Our America that said we want again to be bound by the rule of law, and our values are not there. We're a minority. But that was true in 1775. 1/3 of the people, by all the historians' estimates then, were for the revolution, didn't want a king. 1/3 wanted the king, and 1/3 was indifferent. Which means 2/3 were willing to live with a king. But they got rid of the king then. It's up to us to get it back now. They were right, and I stand with all of those, like Rocky, I'm sure, and others. This country has many, we're a minority, but look around. There's a lot of us. There's a lot of us, enough to change this country, enough to change the country. There are many people like myself who would gladly give our lives or go to prison to avert a war with Iran or to get our Constitution back. We pledge our lives, our fortunes, and our sacred honor to do that, and thank you for being here.